Hey everyone, Maury Dunbar here on a cold Friday afternoon. As you can see, I'm at a slightly different angle today, and that is because I am working on some glass gilding. Now, my table is done. It is finished, but I said that I was going to put a piece of glass on top of it anyway because I put that framing on it, and today I'm gilding the glass. And because everything on that table's gold, I wanted to do something that's a little different. Let me pull the table over for a second. All right, so here is the table top. And as you can see, my pattern didn't work out the way I planned, so I'm kind of treating it like there's pattern emerging from excavated gold. And then I'm going to, and I put the framing on here that I gilded and used our poly onlay for that. I was very happy how all of this has come out, but because I want a smooth, flat surface and I want to do something that sort of makes this a little more interesting, because that kind of flattened everything out with all that gold on there, kind of not doing exactly what I'd hoped for. I'm going to be gilding the glass, but we're using silver leaf for contrast on there. So today you're going to be able to see me do a little bit of glass gilding. I will not be creating any patterns in this today. I'm simply going to be laying the metal on the glass. The technical term for this is Verre Eglomise, which is putting metal on the reverse side of glass and etching through it, painting on it, etc., having chemical reactions, which we will do a little bit of. But again, I got to get this on and then let it dry so it gets mirror shiny. And this used to be how mirrors had been made. Once this dries and cures, everything is nice and smooth. When I flip it over, I'll be able to see myself in here like a mirror. So let me flip this down. Now, as you can see, this is my piece of glass here, which is you might not be able to see all the edges. This was cleaned 3 or 4 times to get it spotlessly grease-free. It cannot have any grease on here. And then I've applied a little silver already on here. I just wanted to get my technique down before I went on camera. And this is pure silver. Beautiful stuff to work with. 99.9% pure silver. I get my gold leaf and silver leaf from W&B Gold Leaf up in Wisconsin. They are a fantastic company to work with. I really love dealing with them. They are so kind and they're so good. Now this is something you have probably not seen me use before. This is a screen that was created by Mickey and Mitch Reed from Reed's Gold Leaf. Mickey and Mitch did this. I picked this up a couple years ago. I forgot about it. Now, to apply leaf, you put, this is either petroleum jelly, or when you buy these, they send you a little balm stick that has a formulation in here that would not oxidize metal. It also comes with a stick that keeps this rigid, so this piece of the screen does not end up getting bowed or torn. You put a little on your arm, and then you take a touch on your finger, you go up across here, you go down here onto the screen, and then since I flopped this on here badly, you lay this down. This picks it up. Well, it was, of course now it's not going to because I'm on camera. It lays this on here really nice and flat. Now I'm using my Gilder's Liquor, which is right over here, right here. And this is a combination of gelatin, distilled water, and natured alcohol to create a solution that will help bond the leaf to the glass. It is not a permanent bond. It will end up having to be sealed up, but this is how you get it on here. And you use it best while it's still warm, because you heat it up to dissolve the gelatin. No, I'm not going to give you my formulation or anything like that for this, because that's part of a class I teach. And then you take this screen and it just sucks the metal right off of there, sticks it right on here, and it's great for getting a really nice clean grid. Now, may have seen me do this before. Frankly, I forgot I had the screen. So, folks, I did put on my Do Not Disturb. Unfortunately, I seem to be getting a lot of spam calls via via internet, and it's really annoying. I can't seem to stop it. I'm also getting, I know some of you with businesses get this all the time. I am constantly getting notifications in my business messages that my Facebook account's about to be suspended because of violations. I have suddenly been getting like 6 of those a day at least. And this didn't want to grab on here the way I wanted it to. Fortunately, a little puff of air helps. And I'm just going to take a little bit more of my Gilder's liquor on here, put that down, and then carefully place this. Now you can see that one broke, and that's because it did not grab onto my screen 100%. That's fine. I can patch that in. I have a little piece of silver right here floating on my table. Let's see if I can pick it up without messing up the screen. And see if that'll grab on right there. It'll be fine. And I can touch that part up too. If I needed this to be absolutely flawless, I could even double gild it. And it is still called gilding even when you're using silver, not gold. So let me take another piece of this. And we're just going to do this for a few minutes. And this is one of my favorite things. I love doing this. I haven't done it for a while. I've been really preoccupied with other projects. But I really wanted to get this in for that tabletop so that I got the result I wanted. And I'll show you me drawing into this in a little bit, you know, like Monday or something, once all of this has dried down fully. And you can see my book of leaf is a little bit bent, so it's giving me a hard time opening up the pages. All right, let me take a little off of my arm, put a little up here, put a little down here. Now these screens are handmade at Reed's Gold Leaf, so you can order that from them. I do not, this is not something I sell, so I'm not trying to sell you a product here. This is just a tool that I really like and I keep forgetting I have. I bought this years ago at the Society of Gilders convention and I should be using it more. Okay, I'm going to put another little piece there, and then I'm going to do this side, and then I'm going to rotate my glass because I don't want all the liquor will settle to the bottom if I don't, and then you get a thicker concentration, and if the gelatin gets too thick on the bottom, it makes it really hard to etch it out later on. I know it doesn't sound like it would be, but it actually can get really challenging. So I just want to make sure I do this in a way that really works for my project. Yeah. I take my time, try to carefully line it up on here. Sometimes it doesn't want to grab, as you've seen. Metals have their own mind, especially in different weather. It's very true. But look at how nicely that grabs down. And all that bubbling and puckering eventually disappears and becomes mirror-like shiny. Now, I could cut these pieces to fit a little better, but I want a little overlap to catch any of the broken spots. And let me flip up and see if anybody's got any questions. At the moment, nope, nobody does. All right, I'm gonna push this down a little so you can, I just have to check and see if you can see where my hand is. So I'm coming over here. skin, a little bit from my arm onto my screen, onto here. Now my skin is super dry, so it tends to, just like it does with the Vaseline, it tends to kind of suck it right on in. And so not as much gets on the screen as I want. So I'm gonna have to reapply on my arm. Now let's get this over here. A little bit. There we go, get that under there so it all sucks down. And you can see that the Gilder's liquor goes right under there, and what happens is it helps adhere it down if I'm having a spot that doesn't want to grab. A couple drops of like that, like I just did, it will go right on down and help the metal suck to the glass. All right, I'm gonna put a little more of the, basically it looks like lip balm, but it's actually, it's a non-tarnish wax sort of product to grab on, help the metals grab. Get the little tiny bit of gold off of there. Works the same as Vaseline. And what you're seeing me doing here was there's a little moisture that came from getting too close to the bottom here, or even from touching this. You just wipe the screen off. It doesn't hurt it, you just don't want it on there because it can grab your leaf in a way that's not helpful to you. All right, let's get a little more Gilder's liquor on here. Down you go, there we are. Very nice. All right. So now I'm going to rotate my glass, and notice I am not putting my fingers on the top of the glass. Why? Because that will cause grease to deposit. Even me with the driest hands in the world, if I touch here, I will, any oils from my hands, especially because I've been touching this stuff, will cause grease marks on the glass, which will then keep it from the silver from adhering properly. So I'm just going to do a little more. And how did I decide what metal to use? Well, part of it is that I'm down to like half books of a lot of stuff, but also I needed contrast in a big way from the gold. All my golds are close enough to what that is to be an issue for me to be not happy with it. So I wanted to make sure that come on there. I wanted to make sure that I could see that there was a point for me to do this. Contrast will make it look much better. Okay. So let me get another piece of silver on here. Now, this one may not be good because I got my paper a little wet, so I'm not sure if I'll be able to get it off of the paper here without it being a mess. And I was right. This is not going to go off of here. And where's my Gilder's knife? There we go. This may or may not work. This may be my, yeah, this is going to be my screwed up sheet. You can see it's all tearing on me and everything. So that's going to be the piece that I use to patch up other stuff. Come off there. And since I already know I have one little patch-up piece to do there, I'll take some of that and go back in here carefully, carefully. I don't want to move metal around and cause it to break. I just want to add a little bit back on there. Come on. Oh, I love when things don't want to work the way I need them to. There we go. And then we take a little bit of Gilder's liquor, drop it on, and that sucks it all down. And once this is dry, it'll all work the way I need it to. All right, let's take a little bit there. Normally I don't patch into the end, I just happen to have this messy piece right here that came out of the book. Let's see how I'm going to get that on there. There's that. Let's make sure there's no moisture there. And let's make sure that that piece goes where I wanted it to go. All right, let's take my Gilder's liquor, drop a drop, drop, drop. And like I said, there's going to be little pieces that end up needing to be patched up because I just hit that spot. It's not a big deal. I might even take my hand, grab this little piece that I just put that there, and get it to not stick to me, stick to the glass. And that'll work for now, I think. I got one little piece that needs to go right. I'm grabbing the silver, not touching the glass. Right there. We're good. Now I'll get to a piece that's actually functional because it didn't get damp. And we'll go back to, normally I do any of that kind of patching up at the end, but because I had that messy sheet that I had to deal with, I just did it now. All right, come on, separate these, because I have a weird curve on here. This one, a couple of these pages just don't want to separate open for me. Nothing new here. All right, that came off. Pull my sleeve up. Again, putting a little of that moisture oils on here to get that on. There we go. Now let's get back up here. Now I don't know if you can see this here, but there is a slight bubble right down here at this edge where all that Gilder's liquor had settled. Now it's bled out. That did not stay because there wasn't a whole lot there. But this is why you rotate things, because it moves the Gilder's liquor around on here. And it just helps everything be more evenly distributed. All right, let's get another piece. Now this is a book of leaf that is just slightly weirdly beat up. It was put in a container too small for it, and that's my fault. So that's part of why it's giving me such a hard time separating to get sheets of this. Normally this isn't this challenging. You got a little pucker there, that happens. And part of my other challenge is I've created an awkward position for myself. I have lights in strange places, and so I keep bumping things, and so it's a little harder for me to get my best positioning for this. Okay, there we go. Seem to be getting a little better flow going than I had before. A little less of a battle. And as I say that, I've probably jinxed that, so it's just... I'll probably do something I'm not going to be happy about, who knows. Okay, that is the last sheet in this book. And so when I finish a book up, I take my book, I snip it like that, so there's no question that this has been completely used up and doesn't get into a pile of unused leaf, and I don't want to waste either time or effort. This doesn't want to lay out. There we go. Let's get up here. There we go. All right, brand new book of silver leaf. Anything from the used book away. I don't want any of it floating around so that I get mixed up on stuff. And it comes in these glassine envelopes so that they don't cause any oxidation. They're easier to work with. No strange static charge. And it looks like I used some of this gold leaf and didn't mark my book used. Not one of my better moves. Fortunately, I should still have enough to finish this up. Now I do have an extra piece in there that's smaller. I obviously trimmed it for something. I'll save that either for touch-ups or to fit in a small corner as needed. When this doesn't want to stick on here the way I need it to, as long as it's laying flat, I pull it up a little bit and just give a little puff of breath on here. That just helps it stick to the screen so I can lay it down better. And I'm going to have this little bit here. This is going to be narrower here, but we're going to get all the bigger pieces in first, and then I'll deal with the patching in that needs to happen. Arm again, just a little bit on here, just a little bit on there. And if you look at where I'm wet here with the Gilder's liquor versus where I was working before, you can see that's dried down super tight and shiny. And that's exactly what we're looking to have happen. Now, I watched a video of Mitch and Mickey doing this, and they actually had 2 of these screens going, and they were doing it 2-person, so that while one person was laying down the liquor and the leaf, the other person was putting leaf on the Gilder's pad and loading the screen up. And they made this production much quicker. Most of us don't have a second person to be doing this with, so you don't get a second person with me. You get the way this goes when it's a solo act. And you see me run my finger against there, that just that little tiny bit of light pressure helps this just to grab onto the screen. And then the moisture basically sucks it right off of the screen. Okay, so now we're going to start into these patched areas. I'm going to grab that little piece that I had up on a couple sheets before just to use it, because I'm not wasting anything. You can see it's substantially smaller than what I had been already using. But I'm going to use it. We're going to cut it up into narrow bits and use it along the sides. Watch where my silver is so I don't get any liquor on there. Now this makes doing this so, this screen makes doing this so simple. I do appreciate this. I don't know why I haven't used it in a while, probably because I forgot I had it. But once you get used to how it maneuvers, it makes it really nice and easy just to lay these squares on. Now this is not something that's going to work on a textured surface like statuary or something, but this works super well for laying this on glass like this or a very flat surface. All right, let's get some more gold here, or silver here. Knife. Let's come in and pull that out a little bit. There we go. Needed to flatten that. So I'm going to take a little piece here. And then I should be able to patch that piece, larger piece in right there. See if you can see where I am. Yeah, you can. It's a little hard for me with the camera angle being what it is for me to actually see if you all see what I'm doing. go. Oh, that came down on there nicely. Okay, we're gonna do this little spot, and I'm gonna rotate it even though I know I'm gonna have a blank spot still to finish. I do still have that little spot to do, but I want to roll this a little bit. How do I want to do this just so I don't mess up this edge? I'm not going to roll it just yet. I think I'm going to work on this side, let this suck down, and then I'll roll it. Or rotate it, roll it, rotate it, whatever you want to call it. So you can see me working on this edge here. Yeah, just looking to see where my hand is, so see if you can all see it. All right. There's that one. Miss that edge a little bit. I'm gonna have to rotate my hand a little differently, I think, to make that work better. Oh well. It's not like I've never had to figure out stuff like that before. A little more liquor here, just so I get the edges. This is an awkward angle for me, so I'm going to have a strip in there that I'm not getting as well as I want. That's all right. I can fix it. I can fix a lot of things. Okay, let's get a little more of this on my arm. And if you have this screen and you lose this, you can always use good old-fashioned Vaseline on, like you do with a Gilder's tip. Okay, oh nuts. Don't do it. There we go. This wants to be stubborn on me. Let's see if I can get it to stick just a little better. And it's not going to want to do that. So I'm going to have to fight this a little bit. Move a little slower. Yep. It's just battling me on this side because I didn't rotate it, and that's my fault. I own it. There we go. This is going to be where all my repairs have to be made. That one I got down well. Thank goodness. Got one part of that down the way I wanted it. Getting towards the end here, so this is good. Now I do teach classes in this, so if you are interested in either a one-on-one or two-on-one, or where I might be hosting a larger class, drop me a message. I'll let you know. We do have some classes of differing sizes coming up soon. They're not on the website. They are something you have to ask me about. Let's get this on here. Not quite big enough, but that's okay. I can make it work. I can make a lot of things work, and I do on a regular basis. Okay, so I have that line to correct, and then I have these lines here to correct. And so I'm going to cut some little pieces. And I could go in with a tip and correct these, but since I'm using the screen, I'm just going to use the screen for the whole thing. And there's a piece of crud on there that I don't want. And I need to get in there with my fingernail because that doesn't belong on that. Oh, come on, come off. Ugh, now things are being stubborn. Let's see if I can, there's like a little tiny sliver of paper in here. It's going to tear some things up, but I got it out. All right, I may see if my tips are here. That's the gold. That's something else. Where are my tips? I think for the little spots, the tips are more useful. So I have I have little tips like this to use. They make handling this sort of stuff a little easier. So I just flick my tip on the arm where that product is that allows it to grab. And we're going to take another piece of silver and we're going to just fix all those funky little spots. Going to cut them small enough to be easier for me to manipulate. So there's that. Drop. There's that. There's this. We're going to start up high. And I think I might have to adjust my camera angle again so you can see where I'm working. So I can see if you can see me. Nope, you cannot. Here we go. So we're fixing that line up there. And I've got different widths in here depending on kind of how wide the bad spot is that I created. So if I got a really thin one, I can use a thinner piece of silver. And there we go. So right here, it's pretty thin. And I have another patch to do right there, because that's where the leaf tore. And then I have a little wider one right here. And get that all the way down there. And then I have some small ones to deal with. So I think I got, looks like I got almost everything, but I do need to get a little bit down there at the bottom. Bit down there at the bottom to get, and then I can rotate this to make this easier. Okay, so things have settled enough for me to move, and I do still have that spot to get to. So I actually am not going to rotate it now that I'm seeing what I've got. If I move it, I might shift the light so I can't see at the moment. I can see where the problems are. But if you look here, you can see how tight that is right now and how mirror shiny. And if you're looking at my hand, you can see my full hand reflection in there, which is really beautiful. Okay, let's take that. Let's take that. Let's break that in half for some of these spots. Now you want to try to use your Gilder's liquor while it's warm, but it'll still work even if it's cool. Although if I had my choice, I'd probably say put it on a coffee cup warmer. My coffee cup warmer died, so that's on my list of replacement things. But it will work, I would say, up to 10 hours cool. Probably a little less. Some people say they're good at 10 hours. Personally, I don't like it that long. I like to use it within a couple of hours, and I prefer it when it's warm. I find that it evaporates better. Let's see. There's a little bit of pieces here and there. I just need to look and see. Okay, there's a little spot there. I have a little seam over there, but I'm looking for the little spots right now just to do any of the patching that needs to happen. A couple really little ones. Little tiny one right there that I saw, and then I saw a little tiny one. Come off of there. Little tiny one right there, and then I have a seam right there to get. Cut that in half again, just because I'm using the small tip and it won't flap around quite so much. All right, do I have everything? I think there's another little spot. And this is typical to have little spots that either broke or didn't grab the way you wanted them to. It's fine. You're not destroying anything when that happens. It just is what it is. All right, let's take that. Again, I'm going to turn this. I'm just going to let some of that Gilder's liquor flow in a different direction. This will give me a chance to see where I've missed. See, I missed some spots over here on these edges that need my attention. So we're going to get those. And it's not at all a big deal. Now, sometimes I'll come in up higher, drop a little liquor under the leaf that's sitting there because it will actually allow it to smooth out a little bit in spots. So it lessens my repairs or my fill-ins. I don't even think I want to call them repairs because it's not really a repair. It's just a fill-in. There's that. That. There's that. There's that. Again, this was the messy edge, so I am not in the least bit surprised that there's stuff I need to touch up over here. Okay, so I think that's pieces of rubber leaf that just sort of flooded off. Now, let's go back over here. What has to happen now, let's see if I can get this up a little higher, is this thing has to completely dry. Once it's completely dry, I may come back with another coat of my Gilder's liquor just to make it ultra shiny. That can be very useful in this, but I cannot clean off any of the excess until this has dried down and dried down hard. You know, I can come back in and touch a little Gilder's liquor here and there, make things kind of flatten out, smooth out. It'll work great. You do it all the time as doing this kind of a piece, but it's not stable enough to do anything else until this has come to its dry point. And the dry point is when it looks mirror-like shiny, and that's what I'm aiming for. All right, everybody, thanks for spending a little time with me. I will be back next week. Stay warm. It's supposed to warm up here finally, so I can stop sitting on space heaters all the time. Even my studio, which is toasty warm 99% of the time, has been freezing cold this week. We have been in another polar vortex. If you have any questions about this, of course, put them in the comments. If you want to know more about the classes, send me a message or email me at maury@paintedstudio.com, or just go to our website and send us a message through the system there. I'm more than happy to answer anything you need to know. All right, everybody, I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.